Hi, I'm Jack Petrella. I'm 73 years old. My sobriety date is January 6th, 1990. I have 32 years plus of uninterrupted sobriety, and I've never been happier in my life. It's all been worth it.
Awesome. Thank you, Jack, so much for taking the time and coming out to share your recovery journey with us. We really appreciate it. So, we'll just get started right at the beginning. So, let's talk about your childhood. What it was like. Did you experience any trauma? Did your parents stay together? That kind of thing.
Yeah, there was a lot of trauma in my childhood. I have PTSD. My mother, unfortunately, had borderline personality disorder, which wasn't even diagnosed until the 1980s. There was a lot of abuse in the house, a lot of anger. There was alcoholism on both sides of the family. There were mental health issues on both sides of the family. I've been in psychotherapy off and on my entire life, and I had my first drink at 10. It was a kid up the street. His father was the janitor in our parish, and he took me to his house and asked me if I had ever been drunk. And I said no, and he said, well, I think you're going to like this. And he was right. He gave me my first alcohol, and I got into that false euphoria that we all experience, and it was wonderful. you know. Uh, all my unhappiness dissipated, you know. All my fear dissipated. I was able to really laugh for the first time in a long time. And I made up my mind then that when I got old enough, I was going to drink this stuff as often as possible. And I kept that promise to myself.
Did you make it through high school? And
I didn't drink again until I was 14.
okay.
And my mother had a breakdown and was at Marymount Hospital in Garfield Heights for an entire summer. And we had some apricot brandy underneath the sink, okay? And my father was a real estate salesman. He was busy. He left me home alone. And I got into that bottle and finished the entire bottle. He never knew that I was drunk, you know? But that was the second time. And then as I got into high school, we drank frequently. We used to get older guys to buy it for us. And I was usually drunk on the weekends and maybe sometimes during the week. I couldn't get drunk all the time. I drank until I passed out every night. And I kept that habit pretty much for 24 years.
Wow.
I drank every night until I either drank out or passed out. When I went to Southeast Asia, I picked up marijuana. I had picked up speed, different kinds, dexedrine, meth, stuff like that. And later on, I got into the psychedelics, LSD, mescaline, psilocybin. And I pretty much ran the gamut. The only thing I avoided was opiates,
Right.
So.
So, were you experiencing any consequences, because of your use or drinking?
I went to jail frequently, and it was usually on drug or alcohol related charges.
Okay.
But to me, that was just part of the price you paid, and those consequences didn't bother me. Any sane person that goes to jail once tries to get help, but I wasn't one of those. Okay. So yeah, those kind of consequences didn't bother me, Later on, the consequences got really bad. I got to the point where I just one day swallowed all my medication. My mother was taking my sister down to college, okay, in Columbus. She was in Ohio State. And I thought I had enough time to punch my own ticket and go out.
Wow.
Before she got back.
Right.
Mother's intuition, she came back early.
Wow.
She came back early. Found me on the couch, called 911. I was in a coma for two to 3 days, something like that. And they told her, we don't know what kind of shape he's going to be if and when he comes out of this coma that he's in.
Uh-huh.
I finally did, and I seemed to be okay, but my mother said, "What can we do so that you won't try this again?" I said, "Let me drink and leave me alone. It's all I've got left." Out at the VA, they recommended that I take a course in transcendental meditation, which I did, you know, and it worked. It worked. It's not that I didn't drink, but I would go into meditation in the morning, you know, and I'd meditate in the evening. I would, in the evening, I was drunk, but I would still meditate. But one day, I felt so good after my morning meditation that I said to myself, you know, I'm not going to drink today. Just today, you know. And I'd been to enough meetings so that one day at a time it sunk in. But I didn't really make the connection just then with that. But I didn't drink that day.
Wow.
You know, and I felt good. And I meditated that night and went to bed. I didn't, you know, I didn't have any intention of quitting drinking just that day. So, and this started to happen with more and more frequency. I would feel so good after a morning meditation section that I wouldn't drink that day. There might be a 3-week period of drunkenness every day, and then, you know, this one day where I would stop for a day. Then my higher power took another interest in me that I didn't expect. I got a phone call from a girl that I had been on the psych ward with after that suicide attempt at Southwest General Hospital. And she said, you know, I found your phone number in my purse, and I remember we used to have good talks. We did. We stayed up till 3 in the morning talking about our childhoods, our drinking habits, etc. And she said, I'm putting together a bowling team. Would you like to join? And I said, sure, you know. And she said, okay, we'll pick you up at 5:30 on Sunday and we'll go bowling. I said, great, you know. And when I got in the car, I started hearing all these familiar sayings from the past, you know. Well, what does your sponsor think of that? Have you completed your 4th step? Isn't the power of prayer wonderful? And I knew that I was in the midst of a bunch of AAs. It turned out that everybody on that team was in Alcoholics Anonymous.
Wow.
You know, the meditation, it all started to wear on me. Then my brother comes into the program. You know, and I'm on disability, but he's holding a full-time job and really struggling to stay sober, and it's really tough on him.
Is he younger or older?
He's younger.
Okay.
He was younger than me, which was another shaming thing, you know. He came into it before I did. But I got up one morning. It was an uneventful morning. This was on January 6th. I'd been drunk the night before. No big deal. Just another night where I was drunk. No big deal. So my mother, for some odd reason, decided to launch into me what a bum I was, which I was, you know. She said, you know, you're drunk all the time. I don't want to bring my friends home from work because you're here. Your sister can't bring her friends home from college because you're going to be drunk and outrageous. Your brother is trying to stay sober and he comes home and you're sloshed every day. She says, your claim to fame is you're only hurting yourself. Well, guess what, buddy? You're hurting everybody else around you. You know? And it was true. It was true. And she said more than that, but that got to me. For some reason, that was my moment of clarity. And I got on the phone, called one of my bowling partners, and said, I want to go to a meeting. Okay? And that was the last time I ever drank alcohol, was the night before. That was January 6, 1990. It took me another year to get off all psychotropic medication.
Okay.
Okay? And then, you know, it was just meetings, and I knew that I was going to have to put the same amount of dedication into Alcoholics Anonymous as I did to getting loaded. The same amount of dedication, and that's exactly what I did. And it worked.
Wow.
You know, I've been sober ever since. And I'm not going to say that it's been a bowl of cherries. I've had 2 marriages go south while I was sober. I had to file bankruptcy at one point. I've had job loss. The stuff that a lot of other people have to put up with. It was just my turn, you know. But the program and my higher power has always sustained me, always. And I never once doubted that the program could get me through anything. You know, I do surrender to God's will in the third step. I do a lot of that. And I do a lot of 11th step work as far as meditation, you know. And that's how I handle everything, whether it's a good day or a bad day, you know.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So
Just give us a couple examples of things that you have been able to do in recovery that otherwise, you know, before wouldn't have been possible in active addiction.
well, for one thing, I got back to work full time. I got off disability, you know.
That's awesome.
I got back to work. I got back into life. Like I said, I got married. They didn't work out for various reasons.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, I got back into life. I would have never been able to do that the way I was before.
Right, right.
You know?
Mm-hmm. I do.
I have a network of friends. I have a network of supporters, you know, and I support them too. I mean, at the end of my alcoholism, I was a social isolated. It was me and a wine bottle. That was it, you know? Big change.
Yeah, yeah.
Big change.
You made it into a life worth living now.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Which is exactly what recovery is all about. So, what have you learned from your addiction?
I've learned chiefly not to seek outside substances or things or people to fill a hole that I imagined was there that really isn't. Okay? I don't look for things outside myself to fill me up anymore or make me okay. It's got to come from within. Happiness is an inside job. And my higher power, as I understand him, it, her, you know, whatever you want to give it, is a spirit that exists within all of us, and it's always there. We may ignore it, but it's always there. Mm-hmm. And if we're okay with ourselves, our true selves, our higher selves, that's all we really need. And that makes us able to have good relationships with people and things outside of ourselves. But I don't have to go outside myself to make me okay anymore. I'm okay by myself.
For sure. Right.
Right.
So, you know, you talked about meditation a lot, right?
Right.
And there's something about you that's just very calm and peaceful. If you were to pick, say, your favorite feeling that you have received in sobriety, in recovery, that wasn't there in active addiction, what would it be?
Love.
Oh. Okay.
Love.
I like that. And for somebody that's out there struggling right now and trying to get sober, trying to get this, do you have any words of advice that you could share?
Yeah. Anybody can make this, but they have to be willing and able to do the work. And if they're willing to do the work, they're going to get all the support they need. People are going to be there for them. There is a large influx of young people that I'm noticing now. It wasn't as much of an issue when I came in over 32 years ago, but right now there are a lot of kids coming in that really cannot accept a higher power. There's a lot of atheism. I don't have a problem with that. I used to be one. I understand it. I sponsor an agnostic right now. Matter of fact, 2 of them. I started a meeting for atheists and agnostics at Hope Recovery Center every night at 8:30. And this is for people who want the program, but want to make the program itself their higher power, and the people in the program their higher power. And it'll work for them too. Okay, I just want to say that if you're real antsy about the whole God thing,
Yeah.
you don't have to be. You know, there is another way to do it.
Exactly.
Right.
That's very, very cool. And Hope Recovery community, right? At 8:30.
8:30.
8:30. Okay, and that is in Medina.
That's in Medina. Yeah.
Awesome. All right.
Right.
Well, thank you, Jack. I really, really appreciate you coming out and sharing your beautiful journey with us. You're going to help so many people, as I'm sure you already have, but keep on doing this thing.